Hello there! Welcome to We Are Crafted in His Image. I'm here today with a Technique Tuesday, and we're going to make this pretty card. And the technique we're going to do today is using partial images from your stamps. Now, oftentimes we have like stamps like this, which are gorgeous, but they're way too big for the project that we're going to use. Or maybe you have a sentiment, but you only want part of the sentiment. So I'm going to show you a couple of different ways of just using a part of an image rather than the whole image. And also even we're going to do some partial embossing as well on this piece here. So let's go ahead and get started on making this card. We are going to start with, let's start with some stamping. I just have a scrap piece. Well, it's not a scrap piece, but it's a leftover piece of card. And I'm going to go ahead and mount up this larger image. I just love the Blessings of Home set. I'm so sad that it's retiring. I think of all the sets that are retiring, this is the one I'm the most sad to see go. However, there are some gorgeous new sets in the catalog, so I can't be too sad for too long because I will have new pretty ones to play with. But I'm going to play with this one as much as I can while I can. So here we have, I am going to stamp this with Memento. Let me find it. There it is. We need Memento ink. And I used a combination of blends and watercolor ink to color my image. You want to keep in mind that Memento ink is water resistant when it's dry. It is not waterproof. So keep that in mind when you decide how you're going to color this. Now I'm just trying to I want to make sure I get all of this flower and all of that leaf on my cardstock. Just like that. There we go. So we didn't even have to ink the whole image. We only inked part of the image to get the part that we want. And I'm going to go ahead and move this out of the way. And I also want to stamp, where did it go? I need to stamp the sentiment. Here we go. We have this little strip, and I want the sentiment from the Nature's Harvest, which is also retiring. And I love the part that says sending healing thoughts, but I didn't necessarily want the May Nature's Beauty bring peace to your soul part. So in order to not have that on there, we are simply going to mask off the area of the stamp that we don't want. So I'm just going to use regular tape. You could use masking tape, painter's tape, it doesn't matter, washi tape, post-it note. You just want to cover up the line that you don't want. And because this is all in one straight line, it's easy to do with this method. So there we go. You get that all lined up. And then I'm going to ink this with, I believe I use soft suede. Yes. Now the key to remember with this technique, and I've done this before on some of my videos, is after you have inked and before you stamp, make sure you remove that piece of tape and throw it in the garbage. Get it out of your way. And then we're going to go ahead and pray that this is nice and straight and stamp that down. Ta-da! So I just got the part of the stamp that I needed simply by masking off an area that I didn't need. And there we have that part. And let's get this out of the way. And then through the magic of time and camera, I have already colored in one of these images because you do want to give that Memento ink time to dry before you do any coloring. Now for the flowers, I used a combination of, let's see, on the big flower and those little tiny ones, they were the light and dark petal pink. That's like my favorite color lately for some reason. I've been using this a lot lately. Soft suede, which is disappearing. This is also retiring, but this color is what I used for the centers of my flowers. And then I used light crumb cake and light soft suede for these flowers here. I did a layer of that on this flower, but then I also went over the petals afterwards with the light petal pink to make this one a little bit more of a pink tinge on it. So that's how I colored those. And then I could get out the die cut and I could cut out all of this. However, I'm going to want to actually cut closer to the flower than what the die is going to cut anyway. So I'm just going to get my paper snips out here and I'm going to fussy cut it. Now the reason you're going to want to do that is because we obviously want to cut off this part. In order for it to not show, you're going to want to go ahead and get relatively close to that petal. Now you don't have to get super close because you see that just looks like shadow underneath there. There we go. And it's not too hard if you're just going to do one or two of these to do some fussy cutting. It's a fun thing to do when you're, you know, watching TV or listening to a podcast or something. You can just go ahead and trim these up. And like I said, if I had used the die to cut this out, it would have cut out much further away from the flowers. And around this area would be fine, but then this area here would have to be much closer. And so I'm going to go ahead and just use my scissors and fussy cut this. And it shouldn't take too much longer, I think. It is finally springtime here in Wisconsin. The snow is partially melted. There's only, 2 feet of snow it looks like outside my window instead of 3. And we have a creek right outside that window as well. And it is finally flowing, so I can tell that the snow is melting nicely. I wish I could have the window open so I could hear. However, it would be quite loud listening to the wind blow through my microphone, so I have the window closed for now. And it's not quite warm enough down here to have, upstairs is nice, but down here it gets a little too cold. This side of the house is south facing, and it is quite chilly with no sunshine over here. And there we go. I finished cutting that out. So let's get this out of the way. And this piece we're going to go ahead and cut like that. And then I think I'm going to cut a little bit closer to my words and do a banner cut on it. There we go. Move all of these. And I don't think I need my scissors anymore, so I'm going to get that out of the way. Now we have our background piece. Let's see, we've got lots of pieces here. This is the background piece that I need. This is an envelope, has lots of goodies in it. Okay, so this piece here is what I want to do next. I need to pull over my Stampin' Cut machine. Okay, we've got this, and we're using the brick folder, which I believe this one is retiring as well. Now, doing a partial emboss on this is pretty simple. I only wanted the bottom half of it to be embossed, so I'm only going to put half of it in. However, you don't want to do this a whole lot with this particular style. The reason being, it's generally recommended that, whoops, let me get that lined up. When you put this through the machine, that the fold of the embossing folder is what goes in through here first. And obviously I can't do that because this would be in the way. So I am going to go through this way, but it's not recommended that you do that very often because this will eventually start to crack and wear out. And you definitely don't want to put it through this way. The way the pressure hits, it will definitely crack this much quicker. So I am going to, let's see if I can set this down and line this up better. There we go. Lining up with the bricks. And then put my plate on top. Run that through. There we go. I'm not used to doing it in this position. It's usually that way. Get this out of the way. And the plates. And there we have our partially embossed background piece. And then I wanted to add just a little bit of color in this area here. So I'm going to go ahead and take my Pear Pizzazz. I think that's what color I'm using. Yes, Pear Pizzazz. A little bit of green. Scrap paper here for tapping off. And I'm just going to kind of just shade in this area right here. Make sure I have plenty of that green. There we go. I don't know, when I finished the card, it just felt like it needed something in that area, so that's what I'm going to do. And now it's time to assemble. So we're going to start with this piece here. Let me make sure, was there anything I stamped inside? Nope, I had a blank card on the inside. So a little tip for saving you some money on cardstock. This is my background piece. Now normally this would be cut almost this size, and it would be what you'd fold in half, and then you'd have to cut a white panel to put on the inside of your card, whereas what I'm going to do is this is just a 1/4 sheet of cardstock. This is almost a half sheet. It's cut down just a little tiny bit, and I'll have all the dimensions over on my blog. So I'm going to fold this in half, and this will actually be the part that opens, but then it will set on top of this piece. So you're using almost the same amount of the white cardstock, but you're not using as much of your colored, and the colored cardstock is more expensive than the white. So just a little tip on saving a little money if you would like, you know, if you want to do it that way. It just goes on like that. So let me grab my adhesive. When you're doing this though, you do want to make sure that this right here, you get adhesive very close to this fold line, so that when it's on there and it's open and closing, it doesn't come loose in that area. I'm going to leave that there because we're going to need it again. And I'm going to go ahead and open this just to make it easier. Make sure I can see those 3 edges. That looks good. Okay, and then this piece I just put directly on top of that. And because I embossed, I'm going to go ahead and add a little more. Keep it nice and flat. And again, just checking those 3 edges. Before I really burnish it down, make sure it's got a good border. There we go. And now I should have all my other pieces inside here, I believe. Actually, put that there, and put those, come on, there we go, in there. I didn't stamp on my envelope, I should have done that. Okay, so I have this piece here. It's going to go just slightly off center, kind of like that. This is a piece of petal pink. A little bit wonky. And then a piece of one of our, I believe this was copper or bronze. I'll have to look at the packet. It's the packet that comes with several shades of gold and brown and stuff. So, and I have cut it out with the Stylish Shapes, and then embossed it with the wood grain, and we're going to put that on an angle going in the other direction. Again, this is flat just like the petal pink piece was. No dimensionals yet. Come here. There we go. And a little bit of an angle there. And then I am going to go ahead and put the dimensionals on the back of my flowers. Oh, I forgot to mention, on the leaves, we do not have a Pear Pizzazz blends. So I actually used the ink from the Pear Pizzazz ink pad and just put it onto a block and then watercolored it on there very lightly. You do want to be very careful though, because this was regular paper, not watercolor paper, and also because the Memento ink, as I mentioned, it's water resistant, but it's not waterproof. So if you get too much water on it, it will start to bleed, and we really didn't want that. So there we go. So that'll help lift that up so that I can figure out where exactly all of these are going to go. And I'm just going to stick these in here. I could use the same trick with the press and seal that I used last time, but because this is here, I really don't need to. this is pretty simple to just lay these down. Lay that one, this one, and then one going down here. So once I kind of know where they're going to go, I can just lift this up, and it's just a matter of putting a little bit of glue in that area and setting these back on it, making sure all of them are in the glue. And because it is liquid glue, I have a few minutes to play with it to make sure they're right where I want it to be. Oh, come on, don't wiggle on me here. Get in the glue. There you go. And then I'm going to go ahead and take my backings off real quick. And set that. I'm not going to fully set that down in case I need to adjust any of these. But no, I think... Oh, I forgot my sentiment. Where did it go? There it is. Make sure I'll be able to tuck that under there. Oh yeah, we're good, we're good. Okay, so for this, I'm going to use another dimensional, 2 of them actually. Oh, I think I need the small dimensionals. This is a small strip. And I might do a third, no, just the 2, just the 2. I'm going to bend this down a little bit here, because what I'm going to do is after I take off my backings, apply a little bit, make sure, did it come up? Yep. Apply a little bit of adhesive here, and then tuck that underneath there. There we go. So those are on. And now let's just shine it up with a few little faceted gems. And we will be done. Let's see, I need my take your pick tool here. Let's pick up a big one, put it down in this corner, a small clear one. These are small. This is a small one on the color here, a large one over here. See how that green just kind of pulls the green from the Pear Pizzazz over, so it kind of makes a triangle with it. And then one up here. And there we go. We have finished this card, and we used some masking and some trimming to basically use partial images from a stamp set rather than the full image. So what do you think? I think that's a very pretty card to send out, and I hope you enjoyed it. Until next time, God's love and blessings to you. Bye!